picking. Picker pals!
We went to Westport to visit Leave No Trace Ireland
and meet Education Officer Gavin Beetlestone.
Hi Picker Pals, my name is Gavin Beetlestone. Yep, you heard me right, Beetlestone. I work for Leave No Trace Ireland and I'm the Education Officer here working with schools across the country to try and help protect nature. So I'm from Leave No Trace, which is an outdoor ethics program. Ethics is about knowing the difference between what's right and what's wrong. These are our 7 principles, and we believe if you follow these principles that you will be making good decisions in the outdoors that are helping to protect nature.
Hello Gavin, what is the first principle of Leave No Trace?
Yeah, so the first principle of Leave No Trace is kind of the most important one, and that is to plan ahead or know before you go. And it really is just concerned with thinking about what you're going to do out in nature and thinking about ways you could reduce your impact while you're there.
How can I plan ahead?
Well, you might just think about, I guess, what activities you're going to do, what you need to do them so that you're safe and comfortable in doing it. Maybe what are the people you're likely to encounter, maybe where you're going to be doing it, and maybe what animals live there, and you know, if you're going to have lunch, do you need to pack out bins with you, that kind of thing, I suppose.
What is the second principle of Leave No Trace?
Yeah, the second principle is to choose the right path, and that's really concerned with staying on trails so we don't spread our impact too much when we're out in natural areas. It's about knowing where to find trails and making sure that we have the right to be there as well.
What sort of things could go on?
So if we wander off the trail, we do risk a couple of things happening. We may end up disturbing some wildlife habitats because they try to have their homes a little bit further away from where people might be regularly walking. We also may trample some different flowers, some different types of food sources for different animals that live there. So by staying on the trail, we kind of keep our impact on a smaller area so nature has more area to thrive.
What is the third principle of Leave No Trace?
So the third principle is probably the most obvious one to people, and that is to pack it in, pack it out. And what we mean by that is your rubbish. Anything that you're bringing into nature should come back out with you as well, so you can put it in the right bin at home and make sure that you're contributing to the sustainability of planet Earth.
What is the fourth principle of Leave No Trace?
The fourth principle of Leave No Trace is to leave what you find. And what we're talking about with that is really leaving nature natural. So when we say with the third principle if you pack it in, you need to pack it out, it's kind of the opposite for nature that's already there. We want to leave it be, disturb it as little as possible so that it can be happy and comfortable in the place where they live.
What is the fifth principle of Leave No Trace?
So our fifth principle is to be careful with fire. Fire is something that people use in the outdoors, sometimes for cooking, sometimes for staying warm, or sometimes for just enjoying. And we don't want to stop people doing that, but what we really want is for people to just be really cautious because fire can be very destructive to natural areas and we need people to be cautious of that.
What is the sixth principle of Leave No Trace?
Yeah, so our sixth principle is to respect farm animals and wildlife. And that is really just to make sure that when we're out enjoying natural areas, that all animals are going to be protected by the Leave No Trace principles and indeed the people who are living up to those standards.
What is the seventh principle of Leave No Trace?
Yeah, the seventh principle is about other people, and we're asking everyone to be kind to others when we're out in the outdoors. Whether you're a walker, cyclist, hiker, rafter, fishermen, whatever it is, everyone deserves to be able to enjoy the environment, and we want people to respect each other while they're doing so.
What are your favourite animals, Gavin?
Yeah, I have many favourite animals. I like most animals. My favourite Irish animal is a badger. So I like them because they're a bit mysterious. You don't see them that often, but we all know that they're there.
What do you like doing in nature?
My favourite thing to do in nature is go hiking, and there's 2 places I like to do that. One next to the ocean, so anywhere on the coast because I feel like an islander here. And the second thing I like to do is hike in the mountains. I like really challenging myself and getting to the top of a mountain and getting the view that you can get from the top.
What do you notice about kids and nature?
I'm noticing more and more that kids are super concerned and knowledgeable about the environment. Every time I go into a primary school, I'm inspired by the level of knowledge that these students already have and that they seem to be really invested into protecting that environment. And that just makes my job worthwhile and it makes me feel like we're doing something, we're going in the right direction because of how much the kids already know.
Do you have a message for teachers?
One message for all teachers would be to get familiar with your local green spaces. Some schools have that right on their doorstep, some might have it just in their yard in a very small area, but it doesn't matter. There's always something happening in these areas and getting familiar with those first, I think, is the stepping stone to environmental conservation.
Do you have a message for kids?
That would be a simple message of get out and explore. There's a term that's floating around now, micro-adventures, and that's a really great way to initiate your sense of exploration by just getting out into your local streams, your local fields, your back garden, and just discovering. That's what it's all about, really.
Could you give us some tips for environmental life?
Yeah, I think the number one way people can contribute to living a more leave no trace lifestyle would be to reduce the amount of trash that we are creating. Most of our rubbish is actually created when we're having lunch or having dinner. So I've got 4 tips for people that could reduce the amount of trash that they create. The first thing is a reusable water bottle. So we can bring our drinks in this instead of having to buy a drink when we're out and about. There's 1 million plastic bottles sold every second around the world, and a lot of those end up in the ocean. So having your own bottle is greatly going to contribute to the reduction of that. The second thing is having a lunchbox or a food container to eat from. This will stop us having to wrap up our sandwiches or whatever it is we may be having in tin foil or cling film, things that often end up in the ground, as you probably know from doing your Pick or Pal projects. The third thing is a handkerchief or a buff. I use a buff personally, and that helps me clean up my hands and my face if I'm dirty, and then I can bring that home, wash it and reuse it again so that I'm not creating waste or using unnecessary wet wipes. And the last item is a reusable coffee cup. Now I'm pretty sure none of you are drinking coffee yet, but we'll hold our parents accountable and at least be aware of it for the future anyway.
Look at our Picker Pals, Gavin.
Can you find your favourite animal?
Ah, Snaz. Snaz. He is very well dressed.
Look at our filthy foes, Gavin.
Which one don't you like?
I suppose the plastic bag, but I think we've done a good job of combating that in recent years, so that gives me inspiration actually that us at Leave No Trace and you guys at Pick or Pals can make a difference if we continue to try. But generally it's the glass bottle that's smashed. I don't like that because that can hurt people as well, even when you're trying to clean it up. So it's very troublesome. I can see a grate here that looks like it's from it reminds me of a disposable barbecue, and these are my personal gripes with the disposable barbecues. There's very little going well with them. And cigarette butts as well. They are the most common things found, the single most common piece of trash found in the outdoors, and it's they bug me, to be honest.
We have a tongue twister, Gavin.
Can you try and say it?
This is a bus stop, not a this is a bus stop, not a butt spot. This is a bus stop, not a butt spot.
Thank you, Gavin, for coming on Pick or Pals TV.
Picking, 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 picking.